Ela entrou meio no negócio, não?
Ela tá acesa bem fraquinha.
E abaixo dela tem uma outra luz também.
O que é ali, Abel? É terra de alguém?
É tudo plantio de café.
Olha lá, ela aumentou, a vermelha aumentou.
Aí embaixo também, aumentou embaixo também, tá vendo? Outra luz embaixo, sumiu.
Conseguindo pegar, Cleiton?
Tô.
Boa.
Caramba, o negócio. Embaixo
duas, hein?
também acendeu de novo.
Aumentou, de baixo ficou mais forte.
Uhum.
Eu conheço essa cor, hein?
É suspeito, hein?
Essa cor, velho.
Take this outside. Okay, now we have room for that. More food for you, Marzi. Look, more food, Mars.
Apagou um pouco, né?
Apagou. Ah, lá,
voltou.
Ah, lá, acendeu.
That's pretty funny.
Agora de baixo tá mais forte.
De baixo tá mais forte.
Eu tenho que trocar leite.
Marzi, what do you think? Here we go. All right, my Cybertruck.
Como eu tô dando zoom aqui. Olha lá.
Ih, forte demais, cara. Aumentou.
Oh, that's my solar panel.
Agora você tem que ficar de olho agora, hein? Se fosse
Man, this
fogo,
thing
meu
is
amigo.
agile.
Se fosse fogo.
São duas vermelhas, Cleiton.
Sim.
Aí, em cima e embaixo.
Okay, all right, okay. Oh, it knocked them all. Alrighty.
A gente consegue ver os dois
Mahatma Gandhi
pontos
saying,
lá.
Jessica.
Eu vou falar pra segurar um pouco agora o flash.
Be
Só
the...
pra gente tentar...
That's funny.
Caramba, cara.
Shane.
Sumiu tudo.
Olha lá, ficando mais forte a de cima.
Estranho isso, cara.
You wish...
Consegue ver que logo eu consigo pegar com o telescópio.
Não, vamos
See, I could have never done that before with what I had.
É a sua oportunidade. Olha lá, ficou
Oh, that's
forte.
too
Ó.
funny. I'm gonna take this outside and play with it. Forgot how fun it is.
Agora,
And
se alguém na mata ou não, não dá pra gente
Tá.
saber, né?
it's okay, Marzi.
Mas essa
World.
cor...
Parece que ela tá piscando.
Olha lá, agora acendeu a terceira,
A terceira, eu vi.
à direita. E apagou.
Speaking of, I need to get a new sign in the back of my
Sim.
car that
Sabe o
reads
que eu vou pedir? Pra
Jessica
vocês
Kirsch.
descer do carro,
Not something
tá?
like I have.
descer,
I want
posso
something
descer?
with white
Desce.
stuff, though.
Desce porque vocês estão mexendo.
Alright, I'm gonna turn
não, pelo amor de
this
Deus.
off.
Deixa ele quietinho.
Vou tentar ver se eu consigo.
Vira a roda pra cá. Não, vira a roda do carro pra cá.
That's fun.
Pode deixar.
Vira a roda. Se descer, ele vem aqui pro barranco.
Freio de mão aqui, tá.
That is too funny.
Agora apagou.
Cara, é engraçado aquilo. Sumiram as três
Wonder what I'm
agora.
gonna do with it.
Apagadinha lá, tá lá. Se
I'm gonna
fosse
play with my
fogo,
Cybertruck
ficava de uma
with it.
forma contínua, né?
Alright, everybody.
Nada,
I'll
e
show you
outra,
just a
ela,
quick,
se fosse fogo, ele não saía do lugar e ela dançou
quick
por lá.
uh,
A terceira
pan
dançou.
around as to
Vai
what this looks
aparecer
like
mais
now.
ali, cara.
2 hours, 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly
Tem uma
did.
sequência de luz, tem duas embaixo.
Oh, we've got a KDOT going on. Yeah, what's
Não,
up?
mas
Oh, I
ali,
didn't know
a de
KDOT.
baixo ali é casa de casa, é casa, né?
I am so glad I did this. Oops.
São três pontos de luz. Tem duas luzes embaixo, uma luz no meio e a
É, mas a de fogo
Let me.
apagou agora de uma
Oh, here we
vez.
go.
Ah, tá lá.
Dot.
Tô vendo aceso.
There you go.
Tem uma luzinha.
Thanks, everybody.
Não, tem a luz, mas é branca.
Look at
E outra
Mars.
coisa, se é fogo, tem
He's
fumaça, não
hiding.
tem fumaça
He's
nenhuma.
hiding. So I'm probably gonna set his cage back up in here once I get this cleaned out. Laundry done, all that stuff.
Essa
For
luz
now, I have
branca
a
que a gente tá
swinging
vendo,
chair.
eu tô achando que é... Olha lá, acendeu, olha lá, olha lá.
Which is really cool.
Mas ali deve ter.
Mas já não é a mesma coisa.
I think it'll fit right here too. Oh my god, it fits perfectly in this area. I wonder if I could do it at an angle.
Tá vendo piscar lá? Olha lá.
Make sure it's locked.
Mas agora eu acho que é casa, hein?
I love you all so, so much. Okay, there's that. I am so excited to have this room.
Eu consigo ver na câmera 3
So
pontos de
stoked.
luz.
Lá em cima agora apareceu outro ponto de luz. Lá pra cima dele.
This chair is friggin' cool. There we go. Now I have a Cybertruck area
Deixa eu olhar pra
and a
trás. Que
swinging
pra frente,
area.
Vai que atrás tem
Bring it up a little bit.
bola aí. Né?
Assim, pô, a lua tá clara, né? A sonda em cima da cabeça da gente.
É mesmo.
É, porra, esse bicho, hein?
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
A lua sai bem aqui, ó.
Ooh, I see lots of dots coming in.
E a lua tá indo pra minguante.
Yeah. So when I'm feeling frustrated, I could just sit here like
embora?
this. Marzi, you wanna come up?
farol do carro.
Mars,
É, não tem, né?
come here, buddy.
Não sei se acende. Aí
Come here, buddy.
tem lâmpada?
Esse farol, ele só eu que enxergo.
You wanna swing with Mom?
Peraí, que agora ficou vermelho de novo.
Agora que ninguém trouxe lanterna. Agora
He's like, but I wanna jump around.
matos, esse nem vai.
What do you think, buddy?
Ele vai ficar nessa escuridão sem farol, Cleiton.
Fun? Fun? He's like,
Acabou, Cleiton? Pode ir? Só um
I know you wanna see
as câmeras
out.
aqui.
I need to stack some
Vou pra
bins.
Porto Alegre. Tchau.
Okay.
Podcast.
All right, Marzi.
UFO.
Say bye to the audience.
Muito bem, pessoal.
Thank you so much for watching today.
Eu
We love
deixei
you.
rolar até agora, né?
Mas that's Are you
esse
hungry?
vídeo, né? Você pode
you hungry?
acompanhar esse
You
vídeo
wanna see what it's like when I feed
lá
him?
no Brasil, aqui no Brasil UFO e também lá na
Mars?
trilha dos OVNIs, né?
Mars, are you hungry? Are you hungry?
E
Are you hungry?
essa semana nós recebemos
hungry?
uma notícia muito triste.
Marzi, let's put
Que
your water
o
bowl back
nosso
down.
amigo Abel partiu
Yeah.
na quinta-feira.
Let's put your water bowl back down.
Ele queria muito ver, né,
used
essa
to have it right
conclusão,
here,
essa
so we're gonna keep it right
da
here.
visita que a gente fez lá em Alto Caparaó.
Marzi,
E na realidade ele acabou
are
não
you
conseguindo,
hungry?
porque ele teve um mal súbito.
Are you hungry?
E na
Are you
quinta-feira à
hungry?
noite
Okay.
e na sexta a gente
Okay,
ficou
Marzi's is
sabendo da
hungry.
partida do Abel.
This is what it's like.
É,
Yeah, are you
muito,
hungry?
muito
Want some
assim.
Marzi, you hungry?
Nós não esperávamos, né?
Are you
Porque
hungry?
a gente ainda queria falar com ele a respeito
Marzi.
dessa
Are you
do
hungry?
programa feito lá com
Are
ele
you
e
hungry?
tudo mais, né? O que
Yeah.
chama a
Are you
atenção
hungry?
foi que no primeiro
You
programa
hungry?
que
Oh,
fizemos,
Mars.
a parte 1, vocês podem também
Oh, yeah.
ver aqui
Hold
nos
on.
canais.
Street cat. We got the
Ele
street cat here.
menciona, né? Ele chega a
Marzi,
mencionar que
look, Marzi,
ele
look,
estava com 70 anos e já estava na hora de ir
Oh,
embora,
ready?
né?
Ready? Hold on.
São
Hold
os
on, you trash
mistérios da
panda.
vida.
Hold
Eu
on.
gostaria de deixar o meu forte abraço
Whoa, right in the food.
a Leda, a
you
dona
hungry?
Natalina, ao Aleixo, ao Samuel,
let me
que
throw that
é o
away.
amigo da família,
Here we go.
né? E
eating
todos
time,
aqueles que
Marzi.
conviviam com o senhor Carlos Abel
That meow, I know,
Gaúcho,
right?
né?
All right,
É uma
everybody.
pessoa com humor de
Thank you so much.
primeira,
He's
humor refinado, né? Que a
I'm
gente
gonna
só
go play
dava
with the Cybertruck
risada, né? Ele
outside.
até deu umas piadas aí, mas que nem o Riba
Thank
falou,
you
né?
so
Quando
much for
desligava a
watching.
câmera, que virava o Abel, né?
That
Uma
was fun.
pessoa alegre e que a gente tem que
And I'm gonna
lembrar
shut
do
off the
Abel
desktop camera.
dessa maneira. Porque
So,
na
desktop camera, I'm
realidade
gonna cover you
a
first.
gente tem que aprender com a partida
And
das
I'm gonna turn you
pessoas.
So that's
E
OBS,
saber
everybody, with 2
que
cameras.
Essa é a realidade
Webcam.
para todos nós. Então você
There
tem
we
que viver o hoje, que amanhã a Deus pertence,
Okay.
né?
For
Estava
now,
muito
I'm gonna
curioso
fold
de
this back
saber, né,
and just embrace
esses
the
mistérios
space.
que rondam lá o Alto Caparaó. Quem sabe se
Where's the
agora
thingy?
ele já não tem a resposta, né?
There's the
Aonde ele
thingy.
estiver. Eu
Embracing the
deixo meu
space.
abraço de coração para ele
Or, heck.
e que
I'll just
ele
leave it.
esteja num lugar bom, tá?
All right,
Quer
everybody.
falar, Riba?
Today's date is Sunday, April 8th,
Acho que
and I
o
know
Riba
it's not
travou,
that
né?
in other areas of the
Hoje a gente
world.
está tendo um pequeno...
Sorry,
Riba,
April
você
9th.
me ouve?
Thanks so much, Doodle. Hearts, hugs, everybody.
Eu acho que não.
Jessica Kirsch
Vocês-
here,
vocês
coming
me
to you
ouvem?
live from Brownsville, Texas.
Sim,
Thank you
acho que agora
for
o Riba me ouve.
being with me while
Fala,
I
Riba.
renovate.
Riba.
Alô, tá me ouvindo?
Sim, pode falar.
Tô
And
te ouvindo.
thank you, channel moderators, channel members, anybody with the butterfly
tô ouvindo
logo next to
vocês.
their name.
Pode falar agora,
Patreon
Riba.
supporters, thank you so much.
Tô te ouvindo.
Patreon.com/Jessica Kirsch.
Eu até
And then
hoje
also
eu-
PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. PayPal.com,
Parece
PayPal.me/Jessica
mentira
Kirsch.
que o Abel veio a falecer.
Venmo.com/Jessica Kirsch. Cash App is at Jessica.
Vinha
Sorry,
falando
at
comigo já
$sign Jessica
bastante.
Kirsch. Love you all.
Sim,
Steph, it's 10:45 a.m. in Australia.
falavam muito comigo.
Thanks for hanging with me
Quem tá
today.
me dando ouvido,
And
ninguém me
I think-
entende, eu já provo.
What's up, thumbnail
E de
girl?
repente,
That's a
cara,
wrap.
eu
I'm
recebo essa notícia.
sweaty. Let's go Starbase
E eu
Starship.
tô
I will
triste, pra
see
te
you
falar a
all
verdade
on
comigo,
launch
sabe?
day if I don't see you
Porque
before
ele-
then. And thanks again
que
for
agora eu amo
hanging
o que
with
ele
me.
falou
All right, I'll see you next time.
Eu vou ligando uma outra, sabe?
Mwah.
Ô, Riba.
E amanhã eu
Bye, everybody.
essa história e acabou.
Oh, you were,
Abel,
Mod. Oh,
também,
Unky, what
cara,
happened?
Que tá inventando história.
Unky, I think when I accidentally timed you out.
Ô, Riba.
Cara, por que o Abel morreu
What
de
happened?
repente?
Riba.
Sabe,
hold
eu
on.
caiu, cara, direito.
I don't know why it doesn't allow me to
Riba.
add you as a mod.
A gente tá tendo um probleminha lá com o Riba.
Okay, it must
Eu vou
be
até
when I'm
mutar
not
ele aqui
live.
um pouquinho. Me mostra aqui que
Alright,
a tua internet,
I'll get
Riba,
that-
tá
I'll get
muito
that figured
baixo
out.
aí.
Good night, Michelle.
O sinal
Good night,
da
everybody.
internet, por isso que tá
Unky, I will
travando,
figure that
tá?
out.
Então, se você puder reiniciar
Bye, Love you.
o teu roteador aí, ou o que você tiver aí, tá muito baixa a sua conexão e a gente não consegue te entender. Então eu peço para que você entre e saia ou reinicie o seu roteador, porque tá muito ruim a sua imagem, tá? Um sinal bem ruim e por isso que a gente não consegue te entender. Então se você puder dar uma reiniciada aí, pra gente continuar isso aí. Você quer falar,
We said
Éder?
subscribe, we said the shop. The other thing, kind of a big deal, we're sending a payload to the moon. We are. We're sending our very own payload to the moon, and we want
Sim,
you to come
tá um pouquinho
along
picotando
with
a
us. So
sua
if you go
também.
to tlpnetwork.com, click on the Lunex button, you can send your name for free, your family's name, your dog name, the teacher you love, or the teacher you hated. You can send all of those on the website. But if you want to upgrade your payload, you can send a photo or a 30-second video on board our payload to the lunar surface, all right there on that website, and submissions are now open. Definitely take a moment, check that out. We're going to be taking some photos here that we'll be sending because, yeah, our mission is inform and inspire, and we want to inspire that everyday people are now sending missions to the moon, and we're excited to partner with Astrobotic on their next lander to make that possible, so thank you to them for making that. We'll be sharing more details about that launch, and, of course, be bringing launch live coverage on location for that as well.
Arkansas, it is not slated to go orbital during this time. It will make a circle around the Earth, but it will maintain a suborbital trajectory during the flight.
Let's see. Dan Harrison, who will establish the first Mars colony, NASA or SpaceX? Really interesting question with that, because with the Artemis Accords, it is a united thing. You cannot claim the air, the land, the mineral rights, the air rights, or even the ground rights for mining to any nation or company. SpaceX themselves have not officially signed the Artemis Accords, but the United States has, as well as I believe we're about 18 other countries now, all agreeing that we will go in a unified fashion for exploration, share our science, share our exploration, and then share support when ultimately, things don't go to plan. Catching up on your guys' chats here. Stan, what time is it launching? So no T0 yet. The easiest way to know if we have a countdown running is you're going to see clocks running on the top of your screen. If we have a launch window with a TFR that is active, we will have a TFR clock up on your screen the moment that becomes active. If we do go into an estimated countdown, we will then have a secondary countdown on your screen. So you'll be able to keep an eye on both of those. Those will be all on the top of the screen. But until then, we'll be keeping this there. We can bring it up to also give you an idea when we do get into the actual launch coverage, we will be bringing up also our timeline, so you will be able to see where we are in the current thing. Oh, I'm covering Dakota's head, but we'll just go there. This is what you'll be seeing, even if we're not on screen, where you guys will be able to follow along throughout the launch countdown, through the major steps that we are seeing as we continue towards that count. We'll update those with events as they happen. We'll also be doing this through the wet dress rehearsal. But we are back there and catch more of your questions here. We're glad to have you here. Saffron's asking, is there a lot of press arriving, major news outlets? We went out to the pad yesterday. 20 people? Maybe, if that. Mostly not locals. There was mostly people that had traveled in. A lot of people obviously thought it was going to be this week for the launch. That got ultimately delayed about a week, which put it back onto the timeline we had been expecting for kind of months. So lots of people that had plans still just popping in. Kevin flew in yesterday and his plane was pretty empty, even though 2 days before that it was almost sold out. So lots of people doing on-the-fly changes. Still time to be able to come down here if people are interested in actually checking out Starship. It's an awesome opportunity. Even if you can't stay for the launch and you were able to make it, being able to go roadside, stand just hundreds of feet away from this vehicle, you will get to take those selfies that in 5 and 10 years, when these things fly like normal and are a major part of exploration, you can say, I was there first, which is really exciting.
Mitchell Sullivan, this is a very fun question for me because this is something that I preach about a lot. There is a wonderful piece of technology that has been tested on the ISS for a little bit now, and it is a 3D organ printer. This is something so wonderful, and if we can get it to where it's an operation and fully FDA cleared, there won't be a need for the organ donor register anymore. And you could be seeing that in the next 10 to 15 years. You have a horrible diagnosis at the doctor, you need a new organ, you're having organ failure. It's not wait 6 months to a year and hope. It's give a call up to the station, and a week later you've got a new kidney, heart, liver coming down via capsule, being put right in, made from your own cells with no chance of rejection. Multitude of things coming from the ISS along that front.
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the biggest ones they're working on right now. I think the other part with like new technologies, I think there's new technologies that Starship is going to inspire. When we are able to start launching things in the size of the vehicle of Starship, it opens up a whole different opportunity for on-orbit manufacturing, which, just like with the organ printing, it's not possible here on Earth because of the gravity. So what other things have we said, oh, we wish we could do that, but we can't do that because of gravity, that we can start doing in space? Space nerd, geek, Trekkie, all of that. This ship lets us start doing orbital manufacturing of ships like Star Trek. So Enterprise one day, maybe? I mean, Starship.
This is so cool.
Maybe. Hopefully. Not like shuttle.
Because I'm going to
actually ever
the
fly.
next mission one and it'll be a passenger.
At least they used it for sizing at Vandenberg, so it got to do something none of the others did.
Go for a scenic drive. Let's see. Fire alarm. I've seen a couple of people asking what type of steel are they using. It is a special stainless steel that SpaceX has developed. They are in the 3 to 4 millimeter range, I believe, is what we're at now for that. And talking about how we still don't know all the details of Starship, Elon tweeted yesterday, this isn't the finished design. They are looking at stretching Starship, adding an additional 10 plus meters to the ship. It was not clear if this is in the payload, the fuel tanks, or both, but they are also looking at adding 3 more vacuum Raptor engines, so a total of 6 will be underneath the top of Starship, which is going to be amazing to see. But they're still innovating. They're still seeing what's possible with this vehicle, and that's what this big first kind of integrated test is going to be, is 1, does it get off the pad? 2, does it work? What doesn't work? So we can learn. Just like we saw with all the hops, they only can learn stuff once it flies, and that's what we have to see here. That booster has never left the pad. None of them have. So it's going to be very interesting to see it launch with a fully fueled Starship on board. I think an interesting one from Robert, and we put this out to you guys in a poll before we got started. What is the chance that Starship will succeed?
So we got 66% coming in a total success. We've got 19% calling a RUD on re-entry. We've got 7% calling in a second stage RUD and 8% calling in a first stage RUD. I'd like to see total success all the way through, though. We've got a lot riding on this in the Artemis timeline and going forward on this flight test. And the more success we see now, the faster we see boots on Mars.
And if we're gonna be negative, where are you most nervous?
I'm most nervous during max Q, specifically separation right after max Q. When it's coming out of that pressure just before it enters space itself and they're getting ready to ignite that starship, I'm worried about what they're gonna see. Pressure more than anything.
It's a big ship, and the pressures, and we'll see what happens. I think that's where I'm feeling too, and we didn't put that really as an option, which probably should have been. I think that stage separation, MECO, stage sep, second ignition, that is where we see most of these first rockets fail on their first flight. Something goes wrong with the second stage, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But of course, the hope is that it is a total success as well. I see lots of people talking Elon guaranteed excitement. Elon is here. We saw his jet yesterday. It's been confirmed that he is down here. Expected he'll probably be running around with some other stopovers before the actual flight, as he's a very busy person. But Elon is here on site as they prepare for the flight here today. Well, not today, next couple weeks, but as they're preparing now. Arend is asking, will the heat shield survive launch? That's a big question. It seems to fall off every time they move it, but the last couple stackings and destackings, we've seen a lot less tiles needing to be replaced, so hopefully we'll see that hold on. Let's see, catching up on your guys' questions. If you have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad, and we'll work on answering those live here. We know the chat's going really fast, so we are missing you guys. If you would like to help support what we do, again, you guys can become TLP members. That is where you can get some behind-the-scenes access to some of our videos. We're going to be putting out some tour videos, some how to visit Starbase guides over the couple weeks that we're here, and in the weeks following being here. We got 2 weeks, very busy plans for bringing you footage here, and we're excited to get that out to you. If there's specific stuff that you guys would like to see, you can also send in those recommendations either through email or social media, and we'll keep an eye out for some of those suggestions as well. Let's see here. Dan, I have another question. Can an orbit be at any speed and at any distance, or is it dependent on the distance of the object from its partner object? That is a very complex question, and I do not have models to answer it. But basically, your orbit is going to be based around whatever your gravitational body is. So for us, orbit is around Earth, but if you were to go further away, you would enter a solar orbit or a lunar orbit, or you can go into some of the kind of almost anomaly areas like L2, where you're bouncing and balance between a few different orbits, or effects of orbits. Orbit just means you're in a circle and you are spinning around a gravitational point, basically. Let's see. Raymond, does all the engines have to light to get off the ground? So we don't believe they need all 33 to actually lift off. They've said they need 31, I believe it is, to be 30 to be successful. During the 33 engine static fire, they chose not to ignite one prior to it, and then one did fail during the test, and they said if they had lost one more, they would not have been able to achieve their targeted almost orbit. So they need 30 to fly, but it does bring into a big question of things we don't know, which is there are points, like we saw with Saturn V and other vehicles, they can lose engines at different stages in flight and are still able to have a successful mission. We just don't have those for Starship yet.
Golden, we're not seeing anything that's hinting at them having a static fire test prior to. This is going to be a wet dress rehearsal, detank, and get ready for the launch. So as far as we're seeing.
Interesting one from Tin Man. Do you think SpaceX will land both S-24 and B-7 vertically, even though they will be landing in the water? I think they're going to run it just like a test, exactly how they're wanting to do it. Starship, they're going to want to see if it can belly flop and then pivot back to a standing. They've only ever successfully done that 1.5 times. The 0.5 is when it landed and then 8 minutes later blew up. But they've only ever done that those few times. They still are very early in the stages of proving the belly flop and flip maneuver to be able to propulsively land. So being able to prove that over the water is definitely an option that they're going to be looking at. There's a lot of cameras on board, and that's one of the things that, you know, even for us bringing you these broadcasts, we don't know what to expect during flight. We do not get briefed on that by SpaceX, so we're going to be just as excited to see what cameras we see on board throughout the entire flight and re-entry, hopefully, as we go through this, because they're looking for everything they can. There's a lot of stuff that they can't share publicly because, you know, we really are in a new race to space, and Starship is a major part of that. So we'll have to wait and see. I think, yes, we'll see them both. I don't think it makes sense to have booster belly flopping. It's not ever going to do that, and they're going to show that they can control it, because hopefully one of the next times they will actually try to land and catch, well, not even land, catch the booster. The booster won't land. It'll be caught. Let's see here, catching up on your guys' chats.
Tim, they are not planning to send Starlink from this Starship specifically. Future missions, other orbital flight tests, we don't know. But this mission specifically is not deploying Starlinks.
Starlink will definitely be one of the first things we see deployed with Starship. Starlink has to have Starship to work. It can't be successful with Falcon 9, with the number of satellites that need deployed. It does need to be for Starship. It's also the size of them. They don't fit on a Falcon 9. They just fit into a Starship like a Pez dispenser. So there is the integration facility here. There are Starlink V2s here. There are other Starships with doors on them for them. This ship does have that, but it has been welded shut for the test. So we'll, I expect we'll see Starlinks deployed sometime this year, probably the next 6 months or so. Keep in mind, they're only legally allowed to launch by the FAA 5 full stack missions per year. So this is something they're not going to do until they're ready, like we saw with the hops, where they just hopped as quickly as they could. They need to make sure they've learned as much as they could, put as much of what they've learned into a new ship, and then test that. Satellite Pez dispenser, exactly. I feel like that needs to be coming soon on the shop.
Absolutely.
The Young Rocket Scientists, are you guys fans of the Kerbal Space Program? We are, and we will have a guest at some point on one of the shows, so stay tuned for that. MFG, in theory, could lightning destroy the rocket after launch? Absolutely. That's something we see with any vehicle. That is one of the reasons why lightning is a launch criteria object item. If there's any risk, it's very common that rockets can create their own lightning if they're flying through the right type of atmosphere. So they do keep an eye on that. We had a thunderstorm and some rain run through over the last 24 hours here, but they do have that lightning tower on top of the orbital launch tower to help protect Starship. But I mean, as you can see, there is nothing around it. So if they, it's a big lightning rod. So we'll, if it wants to do something, it's going to do it. I'm going to adjust this so you can actually see the rocket. There we go. There we go. Oh, you can see the rocket again. Not a very colorful sunset tonight for you guys, but it is there nonetheless. Dan is asking, how long do you think until the second launch? Ooh, thoughts?
If this is successful, I could see another launch mid-July. But that is going to depend on this being successful for both Super Heavy and Starship.
Yeah, I'd say that's a couple months for sure. There's obviously a lot of ships and boosters in development. Both the bays have quite a bit of activity, and there's also them sitting in the rocket garden. So we'll see. But it's also one of the things, this is an automated welding that they're doing. So they're making all these ships just to help prove their welding techniques, make them cleaner for future. So mass iteration.
Fire Alarm Man, yes, Apollo 12 did get hit by lightning, not once, but twice during its ascent. It's where the famous SEC to aux came from when they changed over their power to auxiliary to keep on going up.
Saffron, there's scaffolding on the tower anyway, so we've been watching a lot of the scaffolding being removed. The scaffolding from the OLM has been removed, and they are cleaning up the tower and the facility. This is the cleanest I've ever seen, just Starbase in general. I was back here just over a year ago for the Starship update when we were actually on the landing pad, and they cleaned it up quite a bit. But seeing it now, it looks finished, and there's a boat. Hello, boat. Catching up here. Rob's asking, is this going to stay live until then? Yes, so this will be our 24/7 feed. So this will be staying live through the nights, and then we will come on at least once a day, do a Q&A session. We'll be tweeting when those will be happening, or if Elon tweets something, we might jump on as well, as those tend to be at like 3 a.m. updates. But we will be staying live here for the 24/7 countdown to launch coverage, and then there'll be other coverage we'll bring as well. And then we'll have, of course, our launch day coverage.
Mr. Sullivan, there will always be a need for smaller rockets because there's always going to be smaller payloads, especially microsatellites. So just think like in logistics. You need really large aircraft, you need really big semi-trucks, but you also need forklifts and little go-karts. So either way, there's always going to be a need for large and small carriers for payloads.
Michael asking, did you meet up with Everyday Astronaut or Angry Astronaut yet? I haven't seen them here yet. I've met Tim a couple of times before. Last time I was here, we hung out for a little bit as we waited traffic to die down after the Starship update. So yeah, we hope to cross paths with some of them. We know all of them have their teams busy getting ready for this exciting first flight. So it's a kind of a weird time of we're all sitting waiting, but we're also trying to get ready and make sure that we can bring you guys the best possible coverage, as just they are as well. We'll all do it slightly differently, and it'll be exciting to see what everyone can do. But we hope after the flight, there's some opportunities for the community to celebrate what this is, because this is a huge milestone. Elon tweeted it in response to some other stuff on Twitter today that just over coming up on 9 years ago, was when they did the groundbreaking at Starbase for the first time. This was supposed to start as a Falcon 9 Falcon Heavy launch facility. That is what they bought it for, and then it was transitioned for BFR and what we now know as Starship. So it's been a long journey to get to this point to actually see it's going to be a suborbital flight, but something like this out of Texas and out of the region. Thank you so much, Amnita, for donating those memberships. Really appreciate it. I forgot to mention it. We did see that from Helen prior to the start. Thank you for donating those as well. We really do appreciate that. Davis is saying, could you tell us about the ignition system for these engines? One of those things, we don't have a ton of information on them, as they are SpaceX's engine systems. I do know Elon did go through it a little bit on one of his tours with Tim. Talked a little bit about the ignition, but there are parts of that are still regulated, I believe, under ITAR as well. Good old ITAR. Catching up here. If you're just joining us, though, welcome here. You're joining us right here on the launch pad as we kick off our countdown to launch coverage for Starship. You're looking at a live view on the right side of your screen of the orbital launch facility where Starship with Starship 24 and Booster 7 is fully stacked, awaiting its final wet dress rehearsal ahead of launch, hopefully next week. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that subscribe button so you never miss another live launch coverage, docking, undocking, or return to Earth right here on TLP. Also, make sure to join our TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out. I know we've got a bunch of people hanging out on there within our team, and other people as well doing watch parties and just hanging out as a community, because space is better together, and we'd love to see you on there. We'll be jumping into Discord for kind of some behind-the-scenes chats throughout the weeks that we're down here, so follow along with that as well.
I'm going to send this to Snoop Dogg.
Catching up.
Hey, this stream is about putting
awesome.
Snoop Dogg's name on the moon.
So Dan, the lightning strikes with the rocket.
Send a tweet to Snoop Dogg and get him to put his name on the moon.
There's some ways that you can divert it, but the actual lightning itself is coming from the rocket. The speed, the force coming from the thrust of it just shooting through the air is charging up all of those ions and creating the electricity that actually strikes those rockets.
Saffron, you can see the tower blinking left light by Dakota's ear. Yep, that would be the pad right there. I believe this side that you were looking at is the build facility, build site that you're seeing. One of the bays there, along with more if I move and this pillar wasn't there. So we might move the camera, look over there at some point throughout the night and throughout the weeks, but we wanted to kick off taking a look at that pad as, of course, it begins to settle in for the night here at Starbase and South Padre Island and Port Isabel. Want to put this out into the chat. How many of you are thinking of coming down? Are making the plans to change it? I think we'll put that into a poll here. I'll add that there if you want to grab another question or two, because we want to know who's all coming here. What about it? Hey, Zach, congratulations on the Kayam. Well done. Enjoying the show. Thanks so much. What about it? Felix, excited to see you guys down here as well. Felix, you've got to come here and do an update with us on the show while we wait. Countdown to coverage. We got to have you here. So we got to make that happen. He'll come. Awesome.
Dan King, yes, Apollo 12's lightning strike was caused by itself both times.
You might hear me typing, and I apologize.
Scott, Rocket is looking like it's going to go up on Monday the 17th, but it is still tentative. If y'all have any other questions about Starship, anything to do with aerospace or anything else, keep them coming in the chat.
And there we go. That's in the chat there. Are you traveling to Starbase to watch the launch attempt? We want to see what you guys are thinking. We know it's a big expense to get down here, and that's why we wanted to bring you guys the coverage from here, and we'll be on site trying to bring you that real experience. That's one of the reasons we want to do this camera with us on it, is so you can really see what it is like 5.5 miles from the pad. We've been sitting here all day getting set up, but you just catch yourself looking at it. It looks... It's a crazy thing. It's hard to explain what it looks like because it doesn't look real. It looks so futuristic. I had a moment that I love the Contact movie, and it just felt like that scene out of Contact looking at their futuristic ship, and kind of this is ours. And you were saying it's kind of like an early look at what Kennedy was like.
Exactly, yeah. Because before you had a majority of the facilities built during Apollo 4, when they put the first Saturn V out there, it was Pad 39, VAB, and assorted smaller pads. So as we look out on the horizon, you just see this towering rocket, and you see the two high bays, but you see those high bays together. It looks just like I imagine Cape would have back then.
Absolutely. Aiden's asking, will there be a countdown on the clocks? Absolutely. We will have at least 2 different clocks on the screen here. One that'll go above us right here. If there is a clock there, that is a countdown that is currently going towards either a test or another event that has been confirmed by SpaceX. If we put clocks over here on this side of the screen, these are going to be either countdowns or countdowns to an event or countdowns to the end of a possible event for different windows that'll be happening. So we'll be looking at road closures, we're looking at TFRs and different status events like that as we continue towards that orbital launch attempt.
Arkansas, thank you for the sub, my man. We appreciate it.
Carrie, are you near Jessica Kirsch? We'll be doing an interview. Met Jessica a number of times. Hopefully we'll get to see her out here. I know she's been running around doing her coverage for the launch. Everyone's excited. You can feel the energy in the city. There's a lot of excitement for it, but also when you're actually down on site, lots of people making the effort to drive down, and it doesn't feel like you should be allowed to stand as close to Starship as you can. But it's really amazing. If you do come down, of course, make sure that you do follow the posted signs. Stay on the correct side of the road, depending where you're at. If you're at the build site, stay on the Gulf of Mexico side of the road. If you're at the launch site, stay on the South Padre side of the road until you're down at the beach, and then you can do there. There are markers through the dunes, so you don't pass those. We want to be able to come down here for years to come and be able to get this close to Starship, and the only way we'll be allowed to do that is if we actually all follow those rules. Also, Don't make the beach dirty. It's a beautiful beach. Take your garbage with you. There are new garbage bins that have been put out there. This is part of some of those things SpaceX had to do to get their launch license, was new signage, garbage cans, to make sure that this kind of tourist attraction that's shown up isn't actually impacting the wildlife reserve, which we've had dolphins in our backyard today. We've had pelicans just hanging out on the deck. Grackles are everywhere. And the good old Texan mosquito. Let's see here. Holly, thanks for the update, guys. I'm actually down here now. Awesome, Holly. Hopefully we will see you in the area. We're going to be down on site a number of times to try to get updates of where we're going to be. And taking a look at that poll, about 300 votes in, about 10% of you saying yes. So that's about 30 of you roughly going to try to make it down. Another 30 of you thinking of making it down. So keep an eye out as plans kind of finalize and we have a better idea what launch is going to look like. We're going to see if we can do some sort of TLP meetup for those that are down here. So make sure you stay tuned for that. For those that are in Florida, we're going to try to do some of those in the next couple of months as well. But not too sure where we're going to do that yet. So stay tuned on our social medias and the community page here on YouTube for those details. Emmanuel is asking, will it fly through Florida? No, it'll go to the south of it. And we're going to have some maps and stuff that we'll bring up on future streams that'll show you the trajectory it's going to be flying and everything like that. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll tweet those out for you guys as well.
Mr. Greentree, great to have you tonight.
And Dane puts a great point. You know, most of the voters probably not from North America, and it is expensive. We tried to get some of our UK team out here for this, and it is incredibly expensive, especially last minute. If you can plan a trip to Starbase on your schedule and you're not super fixed on what you're going to see, but you just want to get out here and see it, definitely great opportunities to be able to book a month, 2 months out. Lots of amazing hotels and Airbnbs as well that you can book out. If you come on weekdays, it's generally cheaper. South Padre is a tourist destination with surfing and other activities, so weekends generally are more expensive as well, and we'll put more of that out in our visiting Starbase guide that will be coming out in the coming weeks. So you can see the darkness descending on Starbase, and the birds eat bird pelican. Not sure. Might be just the fish flying again. Scott, is this the rocket that can hold 2,000 satellites? So not 2,000. They had originally predicted, I believe it was 200 Starlinks they wanted to try to fit into it. That was a couple of years ago we had that number. They were originally fitting 60 Starlink V1s into Falcon 9, so their hope was 200, 250 in Starship. But Elon just said they're going to still change the height of Starship. So we don't know if that's changing their payload capacity, which will obviously be able to affect the Pez dispenser for the Starlinks. But basically the way the Starlinks will be loaded, it's 2 pillars. So it's just however tall they can make.
Yeah, I'm going to go wash my bowl real quick.
Mustafa, Artemis 3 will use both the HLS version of Starship, so the Lunar Lander variant, and it will use SLS. So SLS carry Orion with the crew on it. Orion TLIs out to the moon, meet up with the HLS either in lunar orbit or Earth orbit. Hasn't necessarily been solidified yet. And either way, both of them will be used. So that's why this launch of the Starship here really is going to dictate how the Artemis timeline is going to move along. So we got really big hopes for it.
Dan and Sam's asking, what was the first rocket launch you saw? Are you more excited now for this one or not? You've seen a lot, so I'm going to say mine because I wish mine were some of yours. My first launch, I was lucky enough that it was Inspiration 4. Jared Isaacman was incredible, invited me to come out and join some of the Prosperity Seat contestants as a guest with him. So I got to hang out with them, and then we attended the launch at the Apollo Saturn V Center, 3 miles from the pad. So my first launch was a Falcon 9 with a Crew Dragon, with a crew on board. And it wasn't just any crew, it was the first all-civilian mission crew, which was truly incredible. Amazing to watch someone that I've talked to launch into space. And we're hopefully going to have another conversation with Jared here in the coming months as he gets ready for his Polaris mission. We're both following that quite closely. So that was my first. I think Starship will... It's not beating it. They're different levels. This is a test flight. I don't expect it to go perfectly, so Inspiration 4 is that next evolution in our exploration. That's what it started opening the door for everyday people. This, I think I'm almost more excited about than SLS's launch. because of what Starship will mean in the long run. This is what's taking us to Mars, taking us further. I want to see telescopes built into these things. Like, imagine a Hubble built into this and then shot off. The photos we would get would be incredible. So I think Starship opens a lot more opportunities than some of the other rockets right now. Long run, but just as exciting.
My first rocket one I consciously remember at least was the return to flight in 2005. So we were down on the beach, Cocoa Beach. But I think, honestly, my launch was the most special launch because being a historian by trade, it was the closest that we will get to Apollo 17. A rocket of that size at night, lighting up the Florida sky. Night turned to unbelievable finish.
What about what Starship watches? More excited? Starship, SLS, Shuttle, which was your biggest?
Shuttle will always be mine. There's nothing cooler than seeing a spacecraft flying upside down. It would never not be the coolest looking space vehicle there ever was.
It looks so wrong, but so right at the same time.
Roger roll.
Moist, it'll be interesting to watch this considering it's never been launched before. I give it a 6 out of 10 for staying together. Absolutely. I think this is one of those big ones that we just don't know what's going to happen. And we kind of all get to sit here and watch it. We're just in as much unknown as you guys are. We're glad to have you here.
Lucas, Starship Heavy in general as its current configuration sets is the most powerful rocket just from overall thrust to weight ratio. So if you compare it to any other ones, even the ones in development like say the Long March 9, it still comes out with a higher thrust to weight ratio and a higher payload delivery.
Which is larger, Falcon Heavy or Starship? Definitely Starship. Trying to remember the actual size. I believe Falcon Heavy stack is just slightly taller than the booster itself, is what it was. The comparison scale. The biggest thing isn't just the height, though; it's the diameter. The Starship is